Yahoo has also been hit with a massive data breach. On Thursday, the company confirmed that hackers stole the personal information from at least 500 million users. The FBI is now said to be investigating what some are calling, with regard to scale, the biggest hack in history. Dan Ackerman, an editor with our partners over at CNET, joins us now to discuss the simple idea of 500 million. Anything is hard to wrap your mind around here. But with regard to this, how significant?
I mean, that's a big number, and you see people with these big hacks throwing out 500 million, 300 million over here. I think the one bit of good news is probably a lot of those are old accounts, unused accounts, duplicate accounts, abandoned accounts. How many times do you forget all your login information and go, I'm just going to make a new account?
Okay, but how many times, for that very reason, do you use the same password over and over and over again? It seems it gets buried in the weeds here, but it seems the real problem was that Yahoo decided to leave unencrypted personal information, including your answers to various security questions that many places ask, banks ask, credit card information. That if you have that, you can, for it would seem millions of users, you can get to any of my information now.
Yeah, it's not just the usernames and the passwords, and even if the passwords are encrypted, they can eventually be cracked. It's the security questions, right, of knowing what street did you grow up on, what was the name of your high school English teacher, that seemingly every site asks you to put in as backup to get into your account and get locked out.
I was saying to you earlier, the variation of the line, you know, the best thing the devil ever did was make you believe that your bank account is the most important piece of information regarding you online. That is just not the case.
That's everything. It's the ability to kind of impersonate you to get this personal level of information. Then the door is open. If you have the same username and password combination on even two sites, well, then you've doubled your vulnerability right there. I hate to say it, but you kind of have to have a different password for every property now, every site, every service. As much as it pains me to admit that, I've had to come around to that.
The flagrant aspect of this would now seem to be the fact that this happened in late 2014. It is coming upon late 2016. Why are we only hearing about this now?
You know, I don't lay too much of the blame for that at Yahoo's door. In a lot of these cases, people go in, they steal data, they don't leave a lot of footprints. You only start to find out about it when it becomes very obvious that people are bundling and selling this data. And in this case, apparently Yahoo was tipped off to that a couple of months ago and then started investigating it when somebody said, oh, you can get hundreds of millions of Yahoo account, user information packages, on these shady websites.
Because it's very curious. For the last 2 years, Yahoo, meanwhile, has been said to be seeking either partners with whom to merge or buyers to whom to sell. It would seem certainly.
And now they have found one.
And that if this had become public,
yes,
in the days, weeks, or months immediately following a late 2014 hack, that certainly would have affected the sale price.
I mean, that's definitely part of the equation, and I'm sure the people at Verizon are not too happy about this. Right now, it's kind of cleanup mode for Yahoo, where they have to try to get all these people, some of whom may not used Yahoo services in years, to go in and change that account information, change those passwords.
We have seen the intelligence community suggest that it was Russian intelligence agents who were behind the hack of the DNC. Mm-hmm. We have seen the release of private emails of former Secretary of State Colin Powell. We are seeing now cyber attacks seeming to enter the mainstream.
It is the new mainstream. That's exactly it.
This is a growing front line of a war that does not seem to really hasn't really taken real shape yet. How then can we possibly stave this off?
The problem is there's two kinds of people, those who have been hacked and those who don't know it yet. And there are two kinds of companies, those who have had these big data breaches and data thefts, and those where you just haven't heard about it yet. I don't think it's avoidable. I think on a personal level, you just have to follow some best practices and try to minimize, your personal exposure, and hopefully you're not a big enough target that someone's going to spend a lot of time trying to break into your stuff.
So essentially, though, because, unfortunately, if I'm one of the 500 million people, don't use email.
We live in a gigantic house where a lot of people have the keys to the front door.
Yeah, we sure do. Dan Ackerman, as always, insight very much appreciated.